And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have two of my good brothers here in the temple. The third one, unfortunately, is probably stuck dealing with Caps fans. But we have the master of the Fistiverse, good brother Joel.
It's not fisting like that, just in case you were wondering, everyone.
I don't believe you.
It's totally fisting like that.
I told you guys to lie about me anyway. That's me. That's my intro.
Oh, you told me to do that. I didn't say I would.
Oh, there will be so much fisting of so many varieties after this podcast. Anyway.
Look, my safe word is Mike Merles is full of shit. But
I got a feeling you're going to say that really early, the festivities, just because it's true.
And of course, making his return to the seasonal end of the valley, the man who has inflicted Beaver Dick Park on the rest of us, good brother Monarch.
Still probably my favorite, just weird-ass location name anywhere.
It sounds like a place that could legitimately be in Canada, and it frightens me.
It's not.
No, just Idaho. It's named after a man.
A man's nickname. I know why it's got that name, but that doesn't make it any less wrong. So when we wrapped up Night, which by the way, even if you don't run it, everyone should grab Night just to see how you can do Grimdark without running in place for 40,000 years. Oh,
yeah, it's really good.
I had asked the others what genre they'd like to lean into next. Horror and mystery were two of the ones that we're leaning into, and while I had considered one entry, there's some stuff that I'm waiting on to be out there before I'm willing to do that. Another potential one I was considering, then I realized, wait, I already reviewed this years ago. But instead, I decided, you know what? Let's lean into a situation that's familiar but also not. In this case, a game that I had previously covered the quick start for with a certain individual who will not be named because he is a fucking rat.
Oof.
And this is another entry in I know too many Italian devs.
I'm just gonna punctuate everything you say with a scoff of some variety.
I wonder if this is what I get for saying that my favorite football league is Serie A for all the wrong reasons. Mostly because I like eating popcorn and watching the constant drama that comes out of that football league. For the same reason I enjoy watching the soap opera that is Real Madrid. It's not for the actual on-field play. God no, they're not that good. It's for the fact that every week feels like an episode of The Sopranos with them. Up to and including full-on locker room brawls.
That's fantastic.
Like locker room brawls, entitled players, bullying a ref because they didn't get their way. Then doing it again because they got blown out by Barcelona, the actual top team in Spain.
It's crazy that you mentioned blown out in Barcelona. Funny story.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Well, I mean, I highly recommend it. I just from personal experience.
And we're walking. But this particular project, I will note in full disclosure, I did back its crowdfund. And I'd also backed one of the previous projects under the banner Horrible Guild. They put out some very interesting stuff, and this is no exception. But Vileborn is a coming of age, noble, dark fantasy. And I will note I always love when covers of TTRPGs channel like Struzan-esque movie posters. Like this isn't a full Struzan poster, but you can see where I say that. Uh, like this, the cover art feels like the kind of multi-character poster that Drew Struzan would do.
It's a really pretty cover too.
Mm-hmm.
It's evocative and it gets across the vibe of the game beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always a big sucker for whenever games have like a bunch of player characters you could be on the front cover, like because you use it right as a GM, like hey, we could do this, we could be these guys, and it's just nice to have a little lineup of what you can do.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the map, which unfortunately because of the way the way my PDF reader works, I can't pick between odd or even spreads.
Oh, that's rough.
I mean,
Yeah, I see it. It's kind of split. It's too bad. It's a beautiful map, by the way.
Yeah, it's a beautiful map. It kind of reminds me of a map you would have seen in like the 14th century.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely what they're going for, right? They even got the little dragons down there on the corner and everything. So.
But we'll mostly be getting into the introduction section. Now the game does have bookmarks on the PDF, but they're certainly there, but I don't like how they're organized. Where it's just one big ass list. I mean, it works. It's just not how I would have preferred it.
Well, what's your preference going to be then?
Dividing it by chapter and then subheading.
Oh, did the chapter is head? Okay, that's what I did with mine. So, and that's actually not super difficult to do. So, I mean, this is version 1.0, isn't it? Like, give them some time to update it a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, good feedback there. Constructive feedback.
I will give them credit for the fact that the table of contents is hyperlinked.
Yep. Table of contents. Probably should have got
like
that.
You guys watching the stream can't see it, but but for those of you who have the PDF, if you hover over parts of the table of contents, you'll see that it does hyperlink.
Yeah, that's nice.
But Jack, let me.
Oh, that's cool as hell. Yeah, it zips you right to the page too, man. That's nice and.
Let me see if I can.
Why is there a whole page of nothing here? That's weird.
I
guess
think
that's for print, huh?
Yeah, that's actually fairly common.
Yeah, I guess there's no real reason to cut it out of the PDF. It's not going to really change the size.
So.
Oh man, their layout is so pretty. Yeah, they did a really good job with the layout.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way so that I can have it where at the very least the first page is skipped when it comes to.
Did I send you down a rabbit hole, buddy?
And this is less of an issue with the PDF and more of an issue with my reader.
Yeah, your reader's temperamental today.
It's just with some entries it will do this kind of thing. So let's see here. There it is. And the reason why is because I definitely wanted to show this 2-page spread on the introduction part. Because this
that's gorgeous. Look at
this
that.
Feels like what you would see as the starting point for the hero's journey.
It is. It's almost like the perfect visual summation.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's gorgeous, man. Golly, I love basically everything about this image. I'm especially taken with that sword. Look at that thing.
Hmm.
Like they only have really the hilt that's like visible, but it's such a like they do such a good job of making it so real and present. Like, oh, it's gorgeous.
Hmm. But
Yeah, the body language is really good. Like the contrast between the characters is great. Oh man, that's gorgeous.
yeah,
The
so
subtle off-centerness of the little guy.
yep.
Oh, so
then
good.
we have the opening where it goes, "Welcome to Vileborn. Vileborn is a role-playing game inspired by coming-of-age fantasy novels such as Evernight, Empire the Vampire, Mistborn, The Name of the Wind, Assassin's Apprentice, and Half a King. As in coming-of-age novels, you'll tell the story of young heroes stepping into adulthood, navigating relationships with peers and mentors, and forging bonds that only adventures in a world full of danger and mystery can create. As in some coming-of-age novels, the setting of this game has dark overtones, and its protagonists must confront not only the darkness of the world, but also of their own dark selves. Unlike coming-of-age novels, you don't have to follow a predetermined plot. Instead, you'll create your own story. Um, when it comes to the whole you create your own story thing, I do feel like over the years some people have misinterpreted that and developed main character syndrome at the table. Um, this was I remember being in a discussion regarding the Wizardry RPG that we covered last week, and there was a remark of it, and someone said that it felt too video gamey. Now,
Hmm.
putting aside the silliness of saying that about a game that's based on a video game, I I had gotten myself in a bit of hot water because I said that statement is absolutely useless, and it is because it doesn't tell if you say something's too video gamey or too board gamey, that doesn't say anything, that doesn't convey any actual information. Uh,
Um, not in a concrete or specific enough way to be of any real utility
mhm.
as a criticism. Like I could say, like, as an opener to a deeper statement, it's fine. But if your feedback concludes with that, yeah, you screwed up. You need to say more, buddy.
And of course, with whenever I've asked that kind of thing and I ask people to say more, they end up giving me some wishy-washy shit. So I'm like, all right, you're
Hmm.
wasting my time.
So,
Goodbye.
so you didn't have anything to say, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of times people will be describing a feeling with that, which is fine. That's a good intro, but you have to be articulate enough and insightful enough to explore that feeling,
Hmm.
right? Saying it's video gamey alone isn't enough, but you could say that like, okay, its goal system feels like going to different levels in a really artificial way that wouldn't happen in a more classic style RPG, and that's actual feedback, right?
Hmm.
I mean, when we talked about it last week, one thing I pointed out was kind of with how a lot of those damage formulas work. I felt worked better as a video game because it's all done in the background. But when you're actually doing a lot of that percentage and chance stuff so much for your levels up, that doesn't translate too well to paper because everyone has to do it individually.
And
Yeah,
you know,
good. That's actual articulate feedback.
yeah.
But yeah,
But
just video gaming, I don't know what to do with that.
uh, and a big reason, one of the arguments was, the choices that you have are too preset instead of being more freeform, which that's more of a issue of table rather than an issue of design, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
Plus,
there's going to be some talk of your table's culture when
mhm,
you review a game, but yeah, if it's gonna be I'm reviewing my table and not the game, nah, leave that, dude.
yeah, I'm not at that table, so there's nothing I can really say about it. But where to loop this back, uh, what I think needs to be further instilled, especially if if the hobby is to grow, is instead of telling people, "Oh, you create your own story," it is you are creating a story collaboratively with the table. You're only creating your own story if if you're running a solo game, which is a different kettle of fish.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's there because of the story game revolution. We have to be a little more careful when we talk about making a story because, like, I don't want to invoke the idea that you are a co-editor at a collaborative story, which is kind of the goal of a story game, right? Like, that's not like when you say something like you'll spin your own legend in like that kind of broad sense, and you're like you'll tell your own story in that broad sense, it's not really the same thing as saying you're going to collaboratively tell a story, and the mechanics that you use to do that are going to be editing mechanics, not interactive mechanics.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's it's one of those things that's come up. But then we get
actually, yeah.
into backstory.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Agas Empire, year 1498 after Aurele. 5 years ago, the darkness swallowed the skies over Agas. Now the Empire teeters on the brink. The cold bites harder with each passing day, food goes scarce, and the reviled, once shadowed monsters roam freely beneath the pale glow of a veiled sun, ready to claim what remains of the world. You are Vileborn, half human, half reviled. With the coming of the darkness, your corrupted heritage awakened, shattering your lives and branding you as abominations. Stirred by the Luminarian Church, society seethes with religious fervor, demanding your extermination. When the darkness came and the world you knew collapsed, you were barely older than 10. You spent your adolescence torn by inner conflict, hated and feared for what you are. Now, just coming into adulthood, you stand before a new storm. Fearing defeat at the hands of the reviled, the Empress defied the Church and issued the Lex Umbrae, a decree conscripting all Vileborn into the Order of Dusk, an ancient institution sworn to defend the Empire from the forces of darkness. For you, the Lex Umbrae is both protection and condemnation. It spares you from summary execution, but turns you into weapons of the Empire. You are the first Vileborn ever recruited into the Order. You stand at the heart of a conflict that could tear the Church and Empire apart. You stand between a world that rejects you and the darkness that tempts you. What will you do with the darkness that dwells within you?
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I just the premise on that is so much fun.
Yep.
It's also nice and clear. Like there's no ambiguity about what you're going to be doing in this game. They are super specific and they have a nice clear vision. That's a great way to start this, and it's a good intro too. Like as now I know, so Ace is on all of this. This is great stuff.
Yeah. So then they go into the first steps of role playing, acknowledging that every TTRPG is different and they come in different forms. This is just going into what this game's form is.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of this recently, where they're not saying here's what a TTRPG is in like a general sense. They're like, okay, you got this off a Drive to RPG, you know what an RPG is, right? This is a niche hobby. You've played D&D, we all know, right? Here's what we're doing, and that's so much more useful.
Yeah. They go into how this is about telling a story. That story unfolds through conversation, guided by rules that help keep the narrative engaging, coherent, and aligned. Then going into what the game is, telling stories inspired by coming-of-age novels. The goal of the game, and the roles of the game. One person plays the darkness, basically the GM. The others are Vileborn, the main characters of the story. The heart of the game is conversation. The Vileborn describe their actions, the darkness narrates the consequences, and the cycle begins again. And then this is the bigger part of the themes that the game is about. Vileborn captures the tone of a gritty and adventurous noble dark novel. Here are the core themes that define its stories. And I'm glad this is here because you shouldn't assume that people who are picking this up have read a bunch of coming-of-age novels.
Yes, it's nice. It's wonderful that they're like, if you like coming-of-age novels, this is your game. But if you haven't, here's what they're about. That's wonderful.
And I've I have talked about this kind of thing where you can't just assume people are going to be familiar with the subject matter if it's something you're building off of. Uh, I remember a while back when I covered Marvel Multiverse, and I've talked about this in the past. I was critical of the fact that it was assumed that the way it was presenting things assumed that you were primarily familiar with the recent runs with the comic books. But with something like
Ugh,
Marvel, that's
yeah.
not an assumption you should be making.
Well,
And
and oh man, yeah, that's really a terrible
that's not a
assumption.
that is not a commentary on the current run with the comic books. We already know the state of that. That I'm not going to be saying anything new there, but
Oh,
more
right,
of
but I mean, I think it's completely reasonable that somebody like approaches Marvel comics and they're like, "Oh, I want to one from XYZ era." Mm. Like the fact
like,
that that's handicapped is not great.
well, I said this in the video. Some people are going to be coming at it from the Claremont or the Shooter era.
Yeah, for me it would be Claremont. I love
Some
him.
people are going to be coming at this from the Toy Biz cartoons. Um, some people are going to be coming at this from the Capcom or Activision eras of video games. Um, some people are going to be coming at this from, say, the MCU. I'm not saying you have to write with all of that in mind, but you do have to. But it's best to put all of them in a Venn diagram. The middle is what you should be writing with. Um, that was that was the mindset I had with Legend Edition. Because yeah, you've got dozens of Final Fantasies, each going in different directions. The approach with Legend Edition was make a middle ground.
Well, because you have so much to cover.
Hmm.
Like I always supported that approach. I think it's the best way to do it. If you're not going to go with a specific entry, then you have to do that middle ground approach.
Hmm. And the reason I was so critical of Fabula Ultima was because it claims to be that middle ground, but in practice isn't.
Yeah.
But that's another story. Getting back on the rails with Vileborn, the themes that they go with is growth and change is the first one. You are young heroes caught between adolescence and adulthood. There's much you have to learn and a potential within you whose limits no one truly knows. The world around you is in turmoil and will try to bend you to its will, shaping you into tools for its own ends. It'll be up to you to decide how much to change the world and how much to let it change you. Ah, conflict and adventure. The world you live in is torn by a crisis that mirrors the inner conflict you carry. You'll face great dangers and terrifying threats, yet it is through those very adventures that you will find the chance to push beyond your limits, forge lasting bonds, and perhaps discover who you truly are. And right and wrong. The line between right and wrong is too thin to draw with certainty. You will meet people with monstrous sides and fight monsters who feel breathtakingly human. You are caught in the middle, young and marked by darkness, as hated as you are needed. How will you react when you see the worst in those you are meant to protect? And what will you do when you understand the tragedy behind the monsters you've been ordered to destroy? Which there is certainly a I've been trying to avoid evoking X-Men, but I kind of have to. And I could also invoke older coming of age stories like Aragon.
Yeah, this I could see the Aragon comparison there.
Just don't bring up the movie. The movie is ass.
Well, I didn't know that the original was written by like a little kid.
Uh,
And I learned that afterwards, and I was like,
yeah.
"There's no way." But then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, actually, no, there is totally a way. I could see a kid writing this.
I remember a bunch of people go. I remember a bunch of people criticizing it back in the day, saying it was copying Star Wars. But I'm like, Star Wars came out in
Guys,
the late '70s. Enough time has passed that you have whole generations who grew up with it and probably served as inspiration for them to create their own stuff.
well, and like, Star Wars is almost exactly the hero's journey. Like, what do you mean you're copying Star Wars? Like,
This is this is the reason why copying, or the like are critiques I don't care too much for
yeah,
because it's usually taking one or two things and making a broad sweeping statement.
Yeah, I wonder if the Matter of England got ripped off ever. Oh wait, Star Wars. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. No,
Um,
I make no apologies for the fact that things are all rips off. So those are things. That's how culture works, guys. I'm sorry. It's just how it works.
yeah, I know at some point somebody's going to take what I wrote and rip it off and make their own thing with it.
Oh yeah, I've actually had whole game systems designed off of mine, pretty brazenly. And you know what? I 100% support it. Good job, everyone.
Yep.
Like mine's a brazen ripoff of Legends of the Woolen. Like, it, I mean, we've all done it from something. That's how creativity works. You find something that you love and inspires you, and you create your own thing.
Yeah.
Welcome to being a human being.
I think the only time I've ever had an issue with it is when people insist I was ripping off something that I wasn't.
That always blows my mind. They'll be like, "You totally ripped this off," and I've never heard of it. It's like, oh well, I didn't mean to. Thanks for the recommend, though.
Well, I told you about this. I've had people claim that my work is a 5e derivative when I make very clear what I was deriving from.
It's super. Okay, so if you've played as much D&D as I have, you don't see the 5e DNA in it. You see a little bit of 4e DNA, but even that's you're not even really you're not stealing from 4e directly. Like you can see the inspiration just because it was game design that why would you leave it there? But like that's not the origin point of it. Like it just isn't.
Which I understand someone want to draw parallels, but it's when it's insisted that that's the case that bugs me. Um, I remember a similar thing with the game Quartet, where a bunch of people were saying, "Oh, this is just ripping off Octopath," and I was like, "No," and that's not exactly the case because the timeline doesn't add up for one, and two, I've spoken with the devs for that. I know what they were drawing from. They were drawing from the Saga series and, to a lesser extent, Live Alive. But saying something was drawing from Live Alive is kind of redundant because of how many games were influenced off of that. It would be like saying, "Oh, you were ripping off John Carter." Like, no shit, John Carter's been around for over 100 years. Everybody's ripped off John Carter.
Hey, guess what else ripped off John Carter? It was Star Wars.
Mhm.
Star Wars.
And Superman.
Yep. Superman's a huge ripoff. Like when you really think about it, like especially the original Action Comics, where they go into explaining how his biology works, and it's like, oh, he can jump really high, huh? That's his power. Anybody else have that power? Anybody famously have the power to jump really high? Who could that be? Duh.
Yeah. I have heard that the reason it went from jumping high to flying was because because the artists wanted to shortcut it. Which,
Well, yeah, there's no wind-up animation to flying. You just show him flying in a panel, and you can assume he took off at some point. With jumping, it kind of you sort of need the crouch and the spring.
yeah. If that sounds lazy, well, keep in mind the reason Super Saiyan exists in Dragon Ball was because Toriyama was getting lazy and he wanted to not ink all of Goku's hair all the time.
Jesus Christ.
That's not me going hyperbolic. That's his own admission. He was like, "Yeah, I got lazy with Goku's hair."
No, I 100% buy that story. But again, this is the same man who eventually designed Perfect Cell with all of the detail on his little crown and everything. So it's like, he wasn't only lazy. But yeah, I definitely buy that. I know how Toriyama rolled.
Yeah, but when we get to setting, you're in Aegeas. The year is 1498 after Aurel, and you're in Aegeas, an empire unified by a common language, a single currency, and the spiritual leadership of the Luminarian Church. While some provinces still cling to ancient traditions, Aegeas is a mosaic of stories, cultures, and contradictions. Pseudosciences like alchemy are the privilege of a select few, while the people follow the tenets of faith and old customs. Today, Aegeas faces an unprecedented crisis. 5 years ago, a black haze, the darkness, shrouded the sky and blotted out the sun, bringing into the open the reviled, monsters that once lurked in the shadows and now roam freely, threatening the survival of the Empire. This crisis shattered the balance of power and awakened strange abilities and unsettling urges in some individuals. You are human beings who, after the arrival of the darkness, began to manifest a mysterious connection to it. You are not reviled, yet something within you resonates with them. For that, the people of Agas fear and despise you. You were children when the darkness ascended, and only adolescents when your heritage began to stir, granting you unique powers and unnameable urges that make you both feared and scorned. The Luminarian Church sees you as abominations, while the Empire has chosen to conscript you into the Order of Dusk, an ancient knightly institution now tasked with turning you into weapons against the reviled. And I know I brought up X-Men, but I feel like another one that I could bring up here, even though it's not a one-to-one, is Claymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's had a Claymore vibe.
And I could also, and while it is definitely not a one-to-one, I'd also feel I should bring up the Showa era of Kamen Rider. So from all the way from Ichigo to Black RX, and to a certain extent its predecessor in Cyborg 009. In the sense of now granted, in those instances you had a villainous organization that modified the hero into what was supposed to be another one of their soldiers who rebelled. But in a lot of Ishinomori's work, there's always that notion of the source of power that the heroes and villains have is coming from the same source.
Yeah, I always like those things because it immediately that causes this wonderful drama, right? And this game recognizes it too. You know, the idea that it's like, well, I mean, I am actually quite a bit like this monster that I'm destroying, and I like that because there's something really deep about the Jungian shadow, right? And this forces you to make that an element of the game, which means you're going to have like absolute fire role play potential. So yeah, it just from concept that's really I'm interested in how it's developed, but from concept I think that's really strong.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
and when it comes to how recent this whole thing happened, like the darkness showed up in 1493, so that's only about 5 years beforehand. The reviled showing up a year later. Then the year after that, the Illuminarian Church starts stoking the fire. In about 2 years later, that's when the Lex Umbrae is issued, and then the PCs are recruited. So that is a lot that happens in the span of about 5 years.
Well, that just means you're in a world of upheaval, which is totally fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting some berserk energy out of this too, honestly.
Yeah. And then of course it goes into what's expected of the players and what's expected of the GM. So if you're playing
Always another good thing to clarify.
If you're playing a Vileborn, you only need to read the characters and how to play chapters, and they go into what it's up to you to do, what it's not up to you to do, and a few general tips. And if you're playing the Darkness, which, as an aside, I do like that the more GM-facing things are in this blue background.
Yeah, that's nice.
It goes what you need to be reading, which is going to be the whole book. You don't have to memorize it. You can always refer back when needed. Why do people always assume you have to memorize the whole book? That's something
I've literally never memorized an RPG text, including the one I wrote. So yeah, don't waste your processing power on memorizing this stuff, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I memorize a lot of books I read, but that's because I am weird. That I memorize weird stuff in stuff I read, just period.
I love that it's not up to you entry here. Like, that's nice. Again, real elegant writing that's just like, hey, look, here's the philosophy in just a few simple bullet pointed instructions. Lovely.
Hmm.
And really, this whole thing
Yeah,
is really nice. It's kind of almost like a GM contract. It's really good.
but
And unlike the really crappy safety tool bullcrap GM contracts, this one actually looks like it would function in a real game. So that's nice.
yeah, I did a whole video years ago talking about why I don't care much for the X card or the like.
Oh man,
Uh,
I could talk about it for a while.
Whether it be the X card or lines and veils or the like. And a lot of people would think it's because of some political bullshit. That's the reason I don't care for it. No, it's because I have too much respect for my players is the reason I don't use it.
Yeah, it's almost like if someone actually brought that to my table, like I would immediately know that I could never game with them. I'm like, okay, we're here for different things. You need to leave. So it is kind of a useful filtering mechanism in that regard. But yeah, it has no other utility whatsoever.
That and if someone has a problem, I'd rather they, talk to me.
Yeah, like an adult would. This idea that you can put a card down and say nothing, and we all have to stop what we're doing and do some unrelated thing, is insane. Nobody talks like that.
Are
It's the
you're
opposite of
familiar with the sword of
communication.
Damocles, right?
Yeah, yeah, big Damocles fan.
Uh,
I'm always hanging up swords by a single hair when I go to a banquet.
ha.
But you asked. That's what it is.
Uh,
But continue.
yeah, that's what always comes to mind when it comes to this sort of thing. And
Yeah.
then it goes into practical info, which I feel like practical info could describe a good chunk of this chapter we've gone into.
Oh yeah,
Like
this is all usable. It's wonderful.
and something I appreciate with what we have here is instead of, and this was certainly something that I tried to do, and I remember you commenting on it as well.
I probably lived it there too.
The fact that instead of doing a bunch of flowery language, I was like, no, here's what this is about. Here's what you need. Here's how you do it. Just dropping all the bullshit and getting right to the point, which comes from a lot of games that decided. I would always get annoyed when game writers decided to purple prose the actual rules. I remember
Yeah,
losing my damn mind with with Traveler 5 when I'm like, get to the fucking point.
yeah.
Like,
Or that one game we talked about where it kept switching to third person for some of fucking ability effects.
oh yeah, I think that
Just
was
randomly.
I think that was Megalos, which I said
Yes,
is
that
not
was
the
it.
worst that I've covered, but was certainly one of the more frustrating ones. Although the whole thing of calling itself Crystal Punk and it's just cyberpunk in a fantasy coat of paint didn't do it any favors. Uh, but they go into who to play with. That is a group for up to 2 to 6 people,
That's
including
nice.
whoever's playing the darkness. So you could do this as a duet. Uh, where to play, either around a table or online. Um, they link their site that has a bunch of resources. How long it lasts? A game is called a session that usually lasts a couple of hours. You can play for as many sessions as you like, depending on schedule and the depth of story you want to tell. One session gives you a taste of the game. 2 or 3 allows for a short story. 4 to 10 allows for a medium-length tale. 10 or more can unfold into a deep, complex saga.
A deep and complex saga. I like
I,
that turn of
I
phrase. That's fun.
I do like that they compare the amount of session lengths to book sizes or
Yeah,
story
that's
sizes. Oh. Then they do bring up a text convention. From now on, when referring to Vileborn or Darkness as in-game entities, we'll write them normally. When referring to player roles, we'll use Vileborn and Darkness, so basically bold and underline. First
Very
level
nice.
game terms will appear in small caps, and second level game terms will be bold. Oh. So then it goes into rolling the dice. We are using pretty much the main range of polyhedrals except D20s. Uh, though I do like they point out here, dice are read individually. If you roll 2d8 and get a 3 and 5, you do not add them together. Each result is treated on its own. Which is already telling me that this is not a sum-based system. Uh, instead, this is I'd say going to lean more into success-based. But they're suggesting not three of each size, but 3d6, 3d8, 3d10, and 1d12. Although, knowing the dice goblins that we all are, yes, yes, that includes everyone watching this. You are dice goblins just as much as the rest of us. You may as well admit it. We have a lot more than just 3 dice of each.
Enough just metal sets for anyone at my table to have at least 2 sets of dice of just the full metal ones.
Mm-hmm. And worst comes to worst, you can always roll those. You can always get one of those pounds of dice from ChessX that are like $20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good investment.
Yeah, you just get one of those, and you're pretty much set for almost any kind of game you're running. But then they go into something for taking notes on paper or digital, 1 character sheet for each Vileborn, and of course the manual. And that more or less covers the introduction. We will get into actually making characters next week, but so far what do you guys think of what we have here as far as the tone that's being set?
I will say, I don't know if just setting-wise this is something that would grab me, but that's a personal thing. It is very well put together. If this is your kind of thing, I could see this hooking you pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And I really like the art design on this.
Oh yeah, I'm just scrolling up to the map so I can show it proper instead of the half showing I was doing earlier.
Yeah, show them the map. The map's gorgeous.
Oh.
But yeah, so I really think they're selling it beautifully. I think that one of the appeals of this kind of genre, like I was mentioning earlier, was that it's so archetypical. Like, this is almost just kind of like D&D again, because you're starting with young heroes who are setting out their journey, and like you have a big heroic potential, and like it's a hero's journey. It's very classic, right?
Yeah. I'd say this is directly trying to do that instead of doing that along with a bunch of stuff, so it doesn't have as much focus as it needs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is definitely far more focused, especially if they carry through with the design. Like, I don't know what the actual game looks like right now, but from premise, it's, like I said, it has a super clear vision. The art's gorgeous and reinforces it, and I think the tone is fantastic. Yeah. Like, I want to play this already. I'm already interested enough to read more.
And I have seen a I've seen a few cases here and there of folks trying to do everything at once when I'm like, in the last few years especially, if there's any tonal shift that I've seen in the tabletop space, it is people doing less and less kitchen sink approaches, and instead building their game to say, it is doing this thing. If you're not interested in doing this thing, the game's not for you. But no harm, no foul. There are other games that'll probably fit what you're looking for. But this is for this thing, and we make no apologies for that.
Yeah, again, that clarity is nice. Because, like, not all games are made to do everything. And I've legitimately had people... Look, I've seen reviews of games where, like, they're trying to force it to do something that they want, and it's just, like, the game is saying no to them, and they're like, oh, I have to rate this game badly, it can't do what I want. and it's like there's a legendary review of Changeling the Lost, I think it is, where the guy was just like basically saying, I have this one character that I can make in any system, and I tried to make it in this system, and it didn't work, and so I'm mad at the game. And it's like, brother, what, the game is clearly communicating to you that that's not what it's supposed to be about. What are you doing?
Yeah, I have a character concept that I try and use in some of my reviews in a similar way, but that concept is intentionally very broad, so that it can be interpreted in different ways. That was always one of the main points. However, the only time I would ever really get on the game's case for not being able to do that concept is those games that talk up all of the smoke about how you could make any character in their system. In those kind of situations, yeah, I'm going to be putting you through your paces. In the case of something like Changeling, or hell, any World of Darkness game, they've never been built like that. No World of Darkness game is built with that whole do-anything approach. Like, Vampire is built around the modern knights. Werewolf is built around the endless conflict between Gaia and the worm. Even if it kind of overfocuses on that, but that's another story.
That's
Like, each of the... There isn't a universal system when it comes to the storyteller engine. There's certainly commonalities, but each entry in that line is built for a particular thing. Even the Trinity experiments operated under a similar vein. Like, Aeon, Aberrant, and Adventure were meant to be 3 different genres, and built around them. You know, Aeon is very borderline space opera. Aberrant was kind of a dark superhero thing, like a 90s superhero. And Adventure was a pulp adventure game. But they are very clearly built for those things. Even in something like, say,
unambiguous with them.
like say Cyberpunk 2020 or Red, because nobody plays V3. It is, even though you can play it outside of Night City, it's clearly built for Night City.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked. You and I have talked at length about Exalted. Even in the worlds that are adjacent to creation, it's still within that umbrella. Like, I remember the attempts that tried to do modern Exalted that had mixed results.
Yeah, the best one of those that exists is the one that Holden Shear did, the Exalted versus World of Darkness.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
They actually use the movement system that I put in my game. By the way, he gives me a call out for it, which is kind of rad.
Mm-hmm. But Exalted was built around creation, and even if you're playing in like in like the Labyrinth or in Autochthon, those are still reflections of creation in some form.
Yeah, Autochthonia is one of those things where it's like it's different enough from creation that you can kind of get away from it, but even still, like a lot of the settings assumptions, like how souls work and everything, it so clearly informs the way, like the reality of the characters, that it's impossible to escape it.
Mm-hmm. And I find that there's been more and more people who have gravitated to those kind of games that are built around a particular world, which is why I always laugh whenever someone says, oh, I don't use the official setting, I build my own. I'm like, do you? Do you really? Or do you just have a bunch of bullet points?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is clearly a game that even though it is built with a particular setting in mind and a particular conflict. Like, I couldn't see running this in any place other than Agas, just based on the first chapter alone. And in that same vein, I couldn't see running campaigns in this with anything but the Vileborn. Everything is built around that particular purpose. This isn't. I don't want to make it sound like this is a railroad. I'll make that clear. But it's a case where it has a particular goal in mind, and every single thing is built towards that goal. And I think it's ultimately better off for that. And I know you brought up D&D earlier, but I'd hesitate. But when it comes to things like classes and spellcasting, I'd hesitate to put that in this setting, because I'm not sure any of that would really fit. And I know Berserk was brought up, but if we're bringing up
Also,
Berserk, what arc are we invoking?
I mean, it would have to be after the Golden Age, right? Because this is a very fallen world kind of thing. I would say after Griffith goes through his transformation during the eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything after that is what I would look at. Yeah, that's what I would look at.
Yeah, Falconia. I was gonna say
Yeah.
either that or Millennium Falcon, but Falconia certainly works better because of the fact that we have one primary nation state. Although it is a nation state that is, in this case, seems to be divided in attitudes between the throne and the church, which, you know, is pretty standard for a lot of medievalist nations of that era. But even with the way we have this map set up, you can see the hintings of different types of biomes.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little video gamey though.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
My goodness.
Uh-oh.
I waited the whole review for something like that to come up. You triggered my trap card.
Yeah. But with that said, I know this was a very light entry, but the first episode is always on the lighter end of things. We'll be getting into building characters next week. And that should be interesting. So keep an eye out for that. And now, unfortunately, I will not be doing Veil of Eternal Night tomorrow because a few important pieces of the puzzle had to bow out for that week. But that doesn't mean I won't be not doing things tomorrow. There is some still stuff I've got planned. Plus, I will be debuting a new look tomorrow. And I know some people are like, wait, you're a VTuber, shouldn't you be building this up? I'm like, no, why would I do that? a good chunk of the VTubing side of things already don't like me because I'm quote unquote one of those Warhammer weirdos.
I mean, you are a weirdo of many varieties, but Warhammer isn't really chief among them.
They clearly were looking at people who focus on tabletop as if they were some untouchable, which if that's a fancy way of saying I'm better than you, all right, fine. Because to quote the old tagline from those EA Sports ads, I'm better than you and I can prove it. I can be arrogant sometimes.
I know you're better than me. I don't try to step to that. I understand my place in this pecking order.
No, it goes you.
Like, I might have had some claim to it prior to you designing and creating a really good game, but not at this point. Like, I gotta admit, it's like, well, at least I designed a game. I'm a game designer. And then you drop this giant game, and you're like, oh, well, back down the pecking order I go.
I'm not gonna pull a Mr. Popo. I'm not going. No, the pecking order is you, the dirt, the worms inside the dirt, Popo's stool, then Kami, then Popo. But Also, on Sunday, I'll be doing the last, at least for now, episode of Fated Continuum. This time delving into what I have been dancing around for the last few months. And that is tackling adapting Final Fantasy XIV into Legend Edition. And I know some might go, why'd you do the MMOs last? Because of volume of content, that's why.
Wise.
That and I wanted to bring in a few other folk on the matter. So that's something to look forward to in the next few days. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.